welcome. My name is Natalie Newell, and I'm with the Friends of Benson Park. And I'm very excited today to introduce Kay Ogden. Kay was a former employee at Benson's Wild Animal Park back in the 80s, 1980s, and she has a lot of great stories. Welcome, Kay.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
And I know that there's so many great memories just going through some of the photos and the memorabilia of at that time. And could you tell us a little bit about your work experience, how
Sure.
long you worked there and
Sure.
what you did?
Well, I worked at the racetrack in Salem, New Hampshire,
Oh, yeah?
and I was a manager there of the wait staff.
Uh-huh.
Then I met Connie, who was a really best friend of Arthur's.
Okay.
So Connie asked me if I would like to meet Arthur and come to work for him.
Oh.
So I thought that was a great idea because this is the most famous job that I ever loved. In fact, I could have paid them to have me work there. But yeah, and Arthur was really a great person. He also had great people working for him. Jay and Kathy, his wife, they managed the park. And Gary, the clown, who I work with intensely. Gary was from Rhode Island. He was a silent clown. He was absolutely fabulous. He loved the kids. He couldn't do enough with the kids. He really was a good person. Yeah. What I did for my job, I was in marketing. Mike was my boss, and he had a son, Brian. We were based in a trailer outside of Arthur's office on the south end. And I remember one day I was sitting in my office, and all of a sudden I see something jumping outside. I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. So I got up, and it was a kangaroo, and it had a baby, and it escaped. Oh. And I'm out in the yard, and I'm looking, look at this little animal jumping all over the place. And we were afraid it was going to jump over the fence, because they can really jump high. So, but they got him, and they put him back in his house, and she was happy. Yeah. So that was good. There's a lot of stories about animals getting loose. It's just, no wonder Arthur had so much insurance, and it costs so much to insure this park because of liability and people, falls, accidents, animal bites, whatever it was, who knows.
So were you, as part of your job, involved with the day-to-day running of
Absolutely.
the park and the marketing you mentioned?
Absolutely.
So tell us about that a little bit.
Okay. One particular day, we used to go to companies, and I would bring Gary on his unicycle. One time we went to Boston to Macy's. I brought a elephant. I brought a snake, which this is a picture of me with the snake wrapped around me. When my father saw that picture, oh my gosh, and I brought that snake.
That's a big snake.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's a boa.
Boa.
Or a python, I forget which one, but it's one of them. And it's very interesting about the snakes. As long as you fed them before you took them out, they would not hurt you, because their tummies were full and they weren't going to wrap me and squeeze me, So I felt very safe about that.
Good.
So here we are in Jordan Marsh with the elephant outdoors, and all the kids were coming, and me bringing this snake in, everybody couldn't believe that I had a snake around me, and we were doing all of this for the prevention of the extinction of animals. Okay. That the animals were dying off, and people really didn't care. And so as far as marketing the park and bringing awareness to the people of these animals. Yes, they were in captivity and sometimes, but Brett Bronson, who was the elephant leader or trainer, he really took good care of his elephants. He loved these girls. He loved them, loved them, loved them.
Wonderful.
And he did a lot with them. And also, while I was in Boston, Gary would ride around on his unicycle in his full gear, and he would go up to the kids and he would visit with them, and he wouldn't say anything, but you know, he would do some of his stuff, his magic, I should say. And yeah, Gary was a real clown, literally speaking. He was a fun person. He was so funny.
Yeah.
And
we do have some video of Gary that we have in the store, the Benson Park store, that we're open on the weekends, Friday noon to 4. And on our video screen, we have, thanks to HCTV, they put together a stream of home videos, and Gary the clown is in quite a few of it and doing his act. It's pretty cool.
Gary and I put on what we want to call Mighty Mouse's 45th
Mighty Mouse, yeah.
Mighty Mouse's birthday. And what I did was I notified all of the newspapers, the newscasters in all of New England to have them come to this event. I have to.
So that was, excuse me, this is
Yes,
Playworld, right?
It was New England
called
Playworld. Yep, New England Playworld. That was the name of it.
Mighty Mouse.
Yep.
Is the head guy.
Arthur brought this to be, and he had a contract with Viacom, and he rented. He of course having Viacom, all these
The characters.
characters. Thank you.
From the Warner Brothers.
The characters, right? They were.
Heckle and Jekyll.
Oh yeah,
and,
he had them all.
Yes.
You know, it was so funny. So
Mouse.
what Gary and I did, if I may continue, I stayed up one night for this event, and I made a cake, literally, that was 4 feet high. I stayed up all night. I made it out of cardboard boxes. It was huge. It was like this wide and 4 feet high. And it said on it, it was yellow with white frosting, yellow frosting, happy 45th birthday, Mighty Mouse. So we brought that out and we put it down on the stage, and we put it on the table. And what else I did, I went to all the bakeries and I asked them if they could donate a sheet cake, which they did. So all the kids that went to this birthday party could have a piece of cake.
Wonderful.
And they came up at the stage and they got that piece of cake. And I have to say, this was probably one of the biggest gates that Arthur ever had. I think there was approximately 100,000 people there that day.
Wow.
So Arthur really needed that money because he had invested in Thurston's Landing up on the hill behind Benson's. And Thurston's Landing was a very bad time in real estate. He thought he was making a good investment. He trusted the people there, and what had happened, it didn't come to fruition. So what happened, Arthur, with that money, helped himself bail out. However, he also had to close the park and sell the park because he could not afford to, or try to sell a park. He could not afford all the liability insurance. He had a huge staff. All the jobs didn't pay well, but everybody loved to be here, absolutely loved to be here, loved the animals. We were like a family. We had a softball team. We would play after school. I'm funny. We would play after work. Everybody would be down there playing. We had a bunch of teams. It was really, really fun. This was our family, and everybody felt that way. Everybody was involved, and it was a really good time. One of the other things. When Arthur, after we put this big shindig on, Arthur announced, my heart's breaking, that he was going to close the park, auction everything off, and everybody would be let go. And I want to tell you, I mean, tears could come to my eyes now, because this was the best job I found in my life. And like I say, I could have paid them, him, to let me work there. Yeah, it was fabulous. So when he decided that he was going to close the park, we closed the whole park that night, and we went over to the Elephant Barn with Brett, and everybody stayed there. And we had this song, we even had music blaring. One of the best songs was The Last Dance. This will be my last dance. And we stayed all night, well, real late. And the beer that was left we drank beer, we danced, we sang. Yeah. And again, all our friends were there, Catherine Kenny. I mean, there were so many people, and everybody was there to cheer, sadness and tears and laughter. But it was a really good time. It was a really, really good time.
Oh, that sounds incredible that you got to at least be with all of your friends to, have that finale, last dance, and have some fun in the Elephant Barn, and talk about what your plans were going to be. So let me ask you about that. When that happened, what did you think about what were you going to do next?
I had no clue.
No idea?
All that I do know is that Arthur had called me and said, Kay, you did such a good job in marketing. I'm wondering if you want to I still am under contract with Videocom, and it's not going to run out for a couple of years. So if you wanted to, make plans, however you do it, with the characters, I would be more than willing, to let you, have them. And I'm sure there was money talk and exchanged and whatever. Not exchanged, but we talked about it. Well, because, I had a son in college, and that's why at one time I was working 3 jobs trying to pay for his tuition. Yeah, wow. I knew I had to get a better job, and that I just couldn't wait till Viacom happened and created something that quick. So I had to decline Arthur, but I loved Arthur. He was the most kindest, the most gentle person that you would ever meet. He did everything for everybody that he possibly could. If you had an issue, you could go to him and he would help you. He had excellent collections of elephants in his office and so many things that he collected. It was very sad when most of it was auctioned off. However, I do know that he took a lot home with him.
Right, and we do have his collections.
Oh,
elephants.
That's wonderful,
That's going to go in our
Natalie.
museum. That's the plan.
That is wonderful.
We're still fundraising for our museum that will be in the Elephant Barn in the back, and it will include Arthur's collection, and he had some treasures that were original John Benson's collection. So some of that, and again, we have that in storage, and hoping to continue to raise funds to open the museum in the next couple of years. So all your memorabilia, your collection too, will be part of that.
Well, I thought because I was always taking pictures, I was always, we would go to Wang Labs, we would go to Western Electric, we would go everywhere, and I'd bring Gary, the snake, the clown, the this and that, try to get people to have their big outings there, because you gotta imagine, Raytheon would do like 5,000 people. That was a real good shot in the arm for Arthur,
Tell us about that. Where did you put all those people? So,
well,
where there's a big picnic grounds area?
Oh, yes. There were picnic everywhere. There were picnic tables everywhere, and they were long. And by the way, everybody just didn't sit in one spot because everybody was going on rides, seeing the animals, introducing people to people. I mean, it was quite the thing back then. And Arthur and Jay, all of us, we really worked hard to help keep the park, up to date, sharp, within the liabilities, and work as a team. And Mike and Brian, I forgot where they were from. I think Hawaii, Ohio. I think they went back there. I'd love to know what they were doing now, but as everybody, I can't even find Catherine Kenny, who was my friend. I heard she's working for an animal hospital up in one of the towns up farther up.
Well, I did want to mention that Brett Bronson, who was the elephant trainer, the last one at the park, he did an interview with us a couple of years ago. We have it on our YouTube channel, the Friends of Benson Park YouTube channel. Check it out. He did a great job, and he lives down south now. He's still involved with some elephant
Good.
conservation and preservation organizations. Really nice man.
I know he is. Brett was just an incredible person too. He was full of heart and cared about everybody, and everybody wanted to have a good time. And sure enough, and Jay and Kathy too. I mean, they were good people. Everybody that worked here. The train gentleman, I'm sorry I forget his name right now, but he put together so much of that train and built it. It was.
Well, that's this model train exhibit
Yes.
you're talking about?
Yes.
There's a whole flyer on it that they
Yes.
gave out.
Here it is. Yeah.
So there was a whole building
That's
with
right.
model trains in it, I
That's right.
understand.
It was the train. It was. I almost want to see if they showed it. No, they don't. But he had the train station absolutely here, and he put all the train memorabilia in the train station, and there were mountains and trains going by. I mean, he did such a great job too. Their heart and souls were in this. It was really phenomenal.
Does the name Brett Piper
Yes.
ring about? Brett created that diorama.
Yeah.
We have that.
Yes.
It's like
great.
that'll be part of the museum.
Good.
Brett designed these little miniature
Absolutely.
figures, little animals, and the future, the vision that Arthur had of the park
Wow.
to expand it.
I
was
couldn't
gonna
remember his name. I'm sorry, but you're
Brett-
right.
Brett Piper,
He was a wonderful guy. And what a character. Actually, everybody here had a real fun sense of humor. I don't care if the kids were pouring cokes or running hay. Everybody had a great time and was really into their jobs. It was good.
That's wonderful.
In closing, I just want to say, unless you have more questions, this was the happiest place I have ever worked in my entire life. And believe me, I was the vice president of a company. I've been a social worker. I was a juvenile probation officer. I've worked in banks. I have done an amazing amount of jobs in my history, but this job, I don't care if they paid me diddly. I would be glad to work here. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Wonderful. It's, we, in the store on the weekends, we'll have people work there as yourself that come in and buy an ice cream and tell us they work there, and they say it's the best job they ever had.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Everybody comes in and says, I worked here when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
or in my 20s, best job I ever had. So it's so good to hear you say that too. And if you would like to just share one other thing, I was curious around your best day. Do you have like a best day? Was it the Mighty Mouse birthday? Or was that your best?
I
that you
wanted
remember?
to say this. Because I stayed up all night baking that cake and going around to people, telling the media, and because we showed Arthur the biggest gate, I think I was just elated that it turned out so well. And Gary did a phenomenal job in his acting and unicycling and made the kids happy. It really was.
Well, congratulations for putting that together. That
yeah.
sounds like an amazing
Yeah.
job.
And I wasn't on stage, but Gary took care of all that. And but everybody was so busy that day, and the crowd was enormous. I think I have pictures of that in my photo book that I've given to you, so
Yeah.
you could look and see
include
how
that.
many people. And here again, everybody wasn't in one location at one time because everybody, we took a while to get up and running, but the kids were so thrilled to have a piece of cake and see Mighty Mouse. And it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. Yeah, I would say that was, I mean, Brian, don't get me wrong, Brian and Mikey, we were all involved in it. But it was like Gary and I, our baby.
Yeah.
And there were a million other things going on at the same time. It was a really, I would say that was my best day with New England Playworld. Yes, great.
Wonderful. Well, you certainly did your part to
Thank you.
try to keep the magic happening at Benson Park. And thank you, Kay, for doing that.
Yep.
I'm sure it must have been painful when it was getting ready to close and all of the
Yes, it was.
turmoil around that. That's so difficult to live through. So thank you for providing the good times there, as long as it did happen. You know?
I'm sorry, Natalie. The other thing that I wanted to say is that people don't realize what a gem this whole location is. And in order to keep functioning and keep it going, we need donations. I mean, I don't work here anymore, but this whole park needs donations
Thank you for
to
saying
keep it
so.
up and keep it going. So if any of you have a couple extra bucks, no matter what it is, this place could use it. The town of Hudson,
Friends of Benson Park.
Friends of Benson Parks, write out a check, go do it now. It's very important that we receive this money to keep going.
Thank you, Kay, because our mission is to preserve Benson Park, keep its beauty, and it's as well as have this museum that will house the memorabilia and also have children's interactive animal education exhibits. So
That's
it's
what's
going
so
to
good.
combine, you know. And thank you so much for saying that.
Natalie, I
need
have
that.
another question. How far are you away from your goal to
Yeah, we're about $500,000
Away? Okay.
We did put a new roof on the elephant barn structure last year, and that cost quite a lot of money. That took a lot of the savings. So we do have a construction company that has been working, shoring up the area above the store. So that's all set. And we're just looking at sitting down with them to draw up the design
Yeah.
of the back of the whole museum.
I know, Natalie. I owned a store for 25 years. That's where I went, really. I mean, I went back to my old job, but eventually I opened up a home decorating store that I sold ready-made curtains, custom curtains. I was the designer for a lot of Andover Country Club, Georgetown Golf Club, many doctor's offices. That's what I did, but that's what I led into in my future. And then in 1993, 2013, excuse me, I sold my business and retired. And yep.
How's your retirement going?
It's wonderful. I have a wonderful husband that I adore, and we went on one date and got married.
Wow.
And we've been married for almost 34 years. I mean, what a story that is. But it's like my life, you know. I mean, one door after another. It's really interesting, you know.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much,
You're
Kay,
welcome.
for coming
You're
today.
welcome.
And Larry, your husband, thank you for coming in today, too.
Yeah.
And I look forward to see more of your pictures.
Thank you.
We'll share
Thank
them.
you. Thank you for
very
letting
much.
me have the opportunity to express my feelings and my sadness and say hi to everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much today for watching. I want to thank Kay Ogden and her husband Larry for coming in and telling her stories about working at Benson's Wild Animal Park. Wonderful stories, Kay.
Thank you.
And I want to thank HCTV, the team here, for doing a wonderful job making us comfortable and making us feel at home over here at the HCTV studios. Please go to thefriendsofbensonpark.org to donate today. We're, again, looking for funds to support Benson Park, preserve it, and also to build our museum that will house all this beautiful memorabilia. So thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. Thank you.